There can't be what's called jahala, majhul, right? The second part of this is the person has to be trustworthy. Yeah? He has to be truthful. Or she has to be truthful, right? They can't lie, basically. If they lie, they become a kadhab. There were some narrators were so prolific in their lying that the scholars, one of the scholars described them as kadhibun yamshi. He's a walking liar. He's not a walking liar. He's a lie which is walking. He's a walking lie, right? He's just a lie. This guy's a lie. He's walking around being a lie, right? And so they have to be truthful. They can't lie, especially about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If they lie even once about the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their hadith falls forever. That's it, finished. They can't lie against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So this is number one. This is number one. Do you think this is a reasonable condition? Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm just getting you to think about the rationale behind these, right? The next one is accuracy, dabt, right? Somebody can be reliable, truthful, but the person might be a bit of a fish brain, if you like, yeah? As we say in the UK, he's got a bit of a fish brain, right? He doesn't remember anything, right? So the person has to when he hears something, right? He has to be able to say, okay, alhamdulillah, I've heard it, right? And now I'm going to repeat it, right? They say that Qutaybah ibn Sa'id heard 100,000 hadiths, right? And he made a mistake in only one hadith out of 100,000, right? It's not that they never ever make a mistake, but it's just that their mistakes are very, very, very little, right? Well, out of 100,000 hadith, he only mistake one. And Bukhari actually did some very deep investigation as to why. He was so surprised. How can he make this? What happened? What happened? He went to Qutaybah. He said, why did you make a mistake? No, he said, Qutaybah said, this is what I heard. This is what I've heard. This is what I read. This is what I took. And Bukhari said, okay, hang on a second. He thought and he thought and he thought. He said, tell me who was with you at that time. When you were copying your hadith from your copy, who was with you? And he said, this person was me. Bukhari said, that's it, what it is. This person's known for inserting hadiths in people's works, right? So Bukhari worked out the reason through his investigation exploration that this person was with somebody else who, when he wasn't looking, was doing something. He was putting something in, right? So this is the extent to which these people went to in their investigation and their examination of hadith. Okay, so that's accuracy. The other one is connectivity, ittisal. There can't be any missing narrators in the sanad, right? If you skip a generation, then where did it come from? It might as well be a liar in the middle. It might as well be somebody who's a fish brain in the middle, right? Yeah? So there has to be connectivity or continuity of the sanad. The fourth one, these are a bit more technical, but we need to say them because these are the conditions. The hadith or the sanad, the isnad, a sanad, by the way, is another word for isnad. You can write that down. It has to be free of anomaly. Al-intifa'u min ash-shudhudh, right? It has to be free of anomaly. What this means is, for example, Malik. Zuhri has a number of students, right? He has Uqayl, he has Yunus, he has Ma'mar, he has Malik. He has many of these, right? Many students, many top students, right? If 5 of them agree that Zuhri says a particular thing, right? Statement X, and then one of them, like say Sufyan ibn Uyayna, who's another great student of Zuhri, says Y, right? And X and Y are not, Y is different to X, or Y is additional to X. They will ask, hang on a second, why did Sufyan ibn Uyayna differ? Is he correct or not? You understand? Another example, Nafi' was a prolific narrator from Abdullah ibn Umar, his teacher. They're all in Medina. The son of Abdullah ibn Umar, Salim ibn Abdullah ibn Umar, he is also a prolific narrator from his father, Abdullah ibn Umar, right? They say that they agreed in all the hadith from Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar is a prolific narrator of hadith, right? Many hadith come from him. They agree on all the hadiths, except that they differ in 4. Nafi' and Salim differ in 4 hadith from Salim's father, Abdullah ibn Umar, yeah? And in each of those, Nafi' was right and Salim was wrong, right? And so we say that Salim's narrations are anomalous. Basically, when you compare a multiplicity of asanid, when you do cross-referencing, if you like, of the hadith tradition, and you compare all the asanid, and then one of them is anomalous, is an outlier, that's called shadh, right? This is that. So it can't be shadh. For a hadith to be authentic, for a sanad to be authentic, it can't have a shadh, they can't have anomaly to it. Does that make sense? There was a bit technical, but I think I explained it okay. Yeah, it can't be shadh. So what's happening now? These first three conditions, they are looking at an individual sanad in isolation. Now you're getting to a point where you're looking at not just individual asanid, you're doing cross-referencing, right? Which is what makes it so complicated now, right? Because you're looking at tens of thousands of narrations now, tens of thousands of, multiple asanid that meet, that split, that converge, and then that diverge again. And you can see all these. Some people are creating maps, huge maps of one hadith, how there's kind of this huge growth as you go down time, right? So this is what, and these guys have got this all in their mind, by the way, right? Daraqutni, the great Imam of Ilal, of hidden defects, who died in 385, I believe. He dictated his Ilal, and subhanAllah, when you read it, he knows, this person narrated from this person who did narrate, and he had 3 students, and then each of them had 4 students, and this person differed, and this person, and each of these 13, 14 different versions, this person said it this way, this person said it that way, this person said it that way, this person said it that way, and there's a missing link, and this one is a missing, and he's doing it from memory, right? It really is amazing. Really, I'm just saying, when you get into it, it's just absolutely amazing, right? Al-intifa'u min ash-shudhudh, right? Free of anomaly. Understood? Free of anomaly? Yeah? The next one. Free of hidden defects. Free of hidden defects. This is even more, right? We don't have time to go into hidden defects, but there's many, many ways that there could be a hidden defect. For example, there could be an insertion of a wording. That's called idraj, right? There could be what seems to be a connected sanad, but in reality is disconnected, right? So this is the science of hidden defects, right? And there's many, many, many more examples of that. And this is quite an advanced element to this. The early muhaddithin, they would take into account all of these, especially Bukhari and Muslim, Abu Zur'a, Daraqutni, Abu Hatim al-Razi, Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, these people, they would take into account all of these, right? Later people, especially today's muhaddithin, this just doesn't come into operation, hardly ever. For this, you need a lot of investigation. You need a lot of investigation. And this is where a lot of them make mistakes today. And this is why, Sheikh Albani and Ahmed Shakir have made a lot of, and they've gone back on a lot of, and they have a lot of contradictions in their books. So, what you've got now is, okay, right. So, reliability, right? So just another thing about reliability. This is from okay. Here's an example of a hadith where somebody unreliable, somebody who's a liar basically, narrates a hadith and makes it up, right? Here's one, right? And this isn't, by the way, this is in a lot of the books of tafsir. Zamakhshari includes it in his book of tafsir. I think even Ibn Atiyah does, I'm not sure. I've forgotten. But many of the books of tafsir have this hadith in it, right? After every single surah. Right? After every single surah, yeah? So Abu Ammar al-Marwazi said, it was said to Nuh ibn Abi Maryam. Sorry, I've just put a ba there, a B. It was said to Nuh ibn Abi Maryam, where have you got this hadith from that you narrate from Ikramah, from Ibn Abbas, on the virtues of each surah? So basically, Nuh ibn Abi Maryam, this person here, he would narrate a hadith that lists all the surahs in the Quran, and after every surah of the Quran, it said, if you read this surah, you will get the reward of how many sheep on the earth, or that kind of stuff, right? If you read this hadith, this surah, you will be protected from the anger of Allah on the Day of Judgment, for example, right? All of those types. After every surah, he does that, right? And Abu Ammar al-Marwazi, look at this, right? Look at their methodology. Remember I told you, think about methodology. He said, where did you get it from? Because other students of Ikrimah don't narrate it. You're saying you heard Ikrimah say it from Abdullah ibn Abbas, but I've checked all the other students of Ikrimah. not a single one of them has ever narrated this hadith. How come you came out with this? How come all the top narrators of Ikrimah, the top students of Ikrimah are narrating this hadith and you've just made this, where have you got it from? Look what he said. He said, at least he was truthful here. I noticed that people were leaving the Quran and were more interested in the fiqh of Abu Hanifa and the seerah of Ibn Ishaq. So I invented this hadith to gain reward. So here's an example of an unreliable narrator. So here's a oh, I forgot what hadith this is. I think this is, I forgot to put it at the bottom, but this is the hadith of Al-Jannatu tahta aqdam al-ummahat. You know the very famous hadith that people mention, that paradise is underneath the feet of mothers, right? This is not it's not a strong hadith, yeah? And the reason is this. These are the narrators. This narrator, Abu Nadr, is unknown. Right? We don't know who he is. We don't know who he is, right? So this is not a strong, because the 5 conditions, have the 5 conditions been met? They've not been met, right? Okay. Tell me, I'm going to speed up. Tell me if you don't want me to slow down. Okay, that's reliability, first condition. Second condition is accuracy. Abu Dawood al-Tayalisi says that Shu'bah says, I heard one hadith from Talha ibn Musarrif. Every time, so this is him, look at the way they're operating. Shu'bah, he's a great Imam of Hadith, dies in the year 160. He says, every time I passed him by, I asked him about this one hadith